Welcome. Here we are bridging the gap between the young and seasoned, faithful and faithless, single and married, to the Fortune 500 CEO and even unemployed. Through our own experiences, conversations, and collaborations, we hope to initiate and cultivate camaraderie through this journey called life. So join us. All right, we are glad to be back with you guys for episode 3 of Bridging the Gap, here with myself, Kayla Crum, and
Sheila Ledbetter.
I'm over here laughing because you guys can't see us, but we're just relaxed in these chairs right now, and Sheila's eyes just get real big like, oh, it's my cue, to talk and say my name. So we're here, we're real, we're behind the scenes, we're just doing life and loving it and navigating these topics along the way. So, Sheila, what are we going to be talking about today?
Mindsets.
That's right, our mindsets. And how many of you guys, I know you can't talk back to us or anything, but this is a rhetorical question, have ever really sat down and intentionally thought about your mindset or the importance of your mindset, your mindset you're in, currently in this state, or maybe the mindset you want to be in to get where you're going. Mindset is a tricky thing because it's something that we have total control over. And a lot of time we don't want to bear the responsibility of that, right?
Right.
So again, there's nothing scripted on here where, we just have some topics we want to throw out there with mindset. So with that being said, do you want to kind of start us off? You want me to start us off, or?
I can start. Mindsets. We've talked in the episodes that we've had before about different things dealing with how we think, because we act the way we act because of the way we think. And mindset is just it's so important, and only you can decide what your mindset's going to be. There can be influences, but only you can decide. And I love that it doesn't have to be stoic. It doesn't have to be set in concrete, that it's about growth. But your mindset is basically your perspective is the best way I like to describe that, because I always say, your reality, your perspective's your reality. And you can have 10 people see the same thing and they'll have a different perspective. And it comes out with different when they explain what they just saw. So it's amazing, I think. It's just a very interesting subject in life.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. When I think of mindset, it's so broad of a topic because it's like, how do you even tackle this? So I'm going to go down the road of, before I decided to get into business, who I was before starting my own, jumping in with an opportunity and starting my own business and cultivating myself personally through personal investment and who I wanted to be. Because like Sheila said, most of the reactions or most of our reality happens because of our mindset, who we are at this moment, what we know, what we don't know. A lot of that is exposed through experience and personal responsibility, honestly. So for me, before I decided to get into business, I really never decided. It kind of just, it happened, honestly, because I had come to an understanding of myself. I wanted to be somewhere different physically. I wanted to be a healthier person. And with that came the opportunity of business. But I didn't know what I didn't know. I was only able to accomplish so much and go so far in my business because of where my mindset was. You can't outgrow your mindset. Your mindset you have to grow with your mindset. Your mind goes first. You don't wake up every morning and say, man, I'm going to run 20 miles today for this marathon. And, even the most elite athlete, the most seasoned and shape athlete doesn't wake up every morning and feel like running 20 miles. It's a lot of times, your body will go where your mind tells it to go, right? Yes. And so it is huge. And so in that, in business, it was like, well, I've hit as far as I can go, as far as accomplishments, and now I have to grow my mindset to go where I want to go, basically. And, we say, in the business I'm in, we say, hey, it's a personal investment course with a paycheck attached to it, because it really is. I have grown to learn more about myself by being an entrepreneur, by being in business. I've grown more personally, and I've grown my mindset. It makes me think back to I've always been inquisitive, and I've always asked the deep questions. I remember asking, my mom questions of, when I was in second grade, who made God? And she's like, well, that's a good question for your teacher, So I think some of us are, by saying that, I think some of us are a little more prone to being comfortable with maybe stretching our mind.
Yes.
And then some of us, that's very uncomfortable, maybe for fear of inadequacy or, just different things. But through the personal investment and through growing my mind, it has truly opened up so many more doors in every aspect of my life. And then one more thing, and I'll let you talk, but, I hear so many people say, well, I don't believe in positive thinking and, like the 12-step, program and that. And I'm like, what is the alternative? It's exactly. Negative thinking. You may not believe in a step-by-step program, but what's the worst that can come out of positive thinking? Mm-hmm. It's like you literally have to retrain your mind. And, I grew up with a very negative mindset. A lot of that was spawned from generation. And I used to say, well, I'm just being a realist. Okay, how many of us have said that? I'm not negative, I'm a realist. Okay, well, you can be real about something, and you can be real hopeful and real optimistic. So anyways, I know you've got stuff churning in your head.
Yeah, with the mindset you were talking about, negative, we can have a fixed mindset, which can often be negative, as in growing up as children, things that we hear, we internalize those things. We take those. Our perspective, like I said a minute ago, I was raised dysfunctional, and so I really had the mindset that I wasn't quite as good as some people. I didn't expect myself to be. I didn't think I was very intelligent. So I carried that mindset into adulthood, which, like I said, that negative mindset, which was fixed. And I took it, and like the Bible talks about, guard your heart. You take those thoughts and you think on them, and you meditate and you marinate, and they get into your heart, and they become part of your belief system. And belief is important. What do we have faith in? And that's our faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. But we can have faith in negative things. Oh, I believe that I'm not worthy. I believe I'm not smart. I believe I can't do that. That is a fixed mindset. The thing that we strive for, that Kayla and I do, and I'd like to encourage others to, is more of a growth mindset. And that's more of a positive. Where can I go from here? Yes, this is where I've been. That's not where I have to stay. But where can I grow from here? And it's looking, like you said, Kayla, hope. There's hope in the future. Yes, I might not but you're a wonderful singer. I can't sing, but if I would practice singing, if I could at least stand to hear myself, I have a problem with that now. And I've said it before. Oh, I can't stand to hear myself sing. It messes up my worship, hearing my own voice. But I can just stick with that mindset, or I can kind of try to practice that and get comfortable with it. I know that I didn't think I was college material. I even at one time had a counselor tell me, you're not college material. And I believe that. And I took that with me until I was 35 and went to college. And then later on, I actually taught in a college. And it's like, whoa. So I broke out of that mindset. And the reason I broke out, I found out I had a son who was gifted. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, how could I have a gifted son? I'm stupid. I'm just not very smart. But I'm a hard worker. I can really work toward getting me an education. Let him see me get an education, and then I can hopefully make more money and help him get one. So the driving force that pushed me was my love for him. So the thing is, if you want to, you can push and you can step into that growth, positive mindset. Where do I want to go from here? What are the steps that I need to take to get to where I want to go? And if you're moving forward, like we said earlier, then you're growing. You have to be teachable. And to be teachable, you have to be willing to say, okay, yes, this is where I am. I'm lacking. I'm feeling stupid. I'm feeling it. Not that I am, but I'm feeling it. How can I get past that? And you can use that in all sort of relationships and things going on in your mind, in your life. Your mind is going to determine how you act, and it's going to determine your attitude. So you can be around someone for just a little time. You don't have to be around them very long at all to see what their attitude is. So when you see their attitude, you know how they're thinking. Are they, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks? Are they speaking negative all the time? Are they speaking negative and catching themselves and saying, oh, but I can. So there's that hope, there's that shift. And there's a shifting that can take place. And encourage that in one another when we see that in one another. I see people sometimes on Facebook, I'll be flipping through and watching, and you can just spot, negative attitude. You see it and go, I wish they wouldn't do that. They're just beating themselves up. And then you watch one you read one that's encouraging. And I know I try to put encouraging things and try to stay away from the blood and guts of things going on in my life, because we all have it. But sometimes that mindset is, I'm not good and I need affirmation, I need validation that I am good. And sometimes we seek that by talking about the negative. And so I would just like every person to encourage you to just look at yourself. Where am I? Am I stuck in negative? Am I fixed, stuck like concrete? Or am I moving? And moving, it's a growth mindset. And who knows how far you can go with that growth mindset. We see these movies all the time of these wonderful things that people overcome to become such great people and do such great things. And it's what we allow ourselves to think about. And only we can decide what we're going to think about. Nobody can make me think about anything I don't want to think about. Nobody can make me feel bad about myself. They can say something to try to make me feel bad about myself, but I have to decide what I want to do with that. Do I want to internalize it, or do I want to think, that's not right, but okay, and move on? That there's a victim mentality that I see a lot in the world today. It's one of the strategies of the enemy he comes against the mind. I watch the news, and my goodness, the mindset of the media right now, the mindset of the political mindset right now. You see a lot of the mindset is everybody thinks let me get you before you get me. Instead of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, it's doing to others before they do it to you. It seems to be the motto. And as I'm watching that, I'm going, what's the world come to? Because that's huge. That's not just my little group of people here. This is people that are representing the United States, and these are people that are media that are giving us the information. And where's the truth? You can watch one channel and they've got one mindset. And whether the mindset's out to get the other person or protect themselves for the other person, or this person's that, and it's just bickering. But where is just the news? Where's just the truth, the news, what's going on, unbiased? I don't necessarily want your opinion. I don't want to hear your fighting and your battling. What's the truth? When you have, we all have had friends, relatives that had relationships, and they get into a bickering or divorce, and you'd hear his side, and you'd hear her side. And I've heard a saying that I think there's a lot of truth to that. There's his side, there's her side, and then there's the truth, which is somewhere in the middle. So you can decide, we can each decide what we want to take in to be our truth, to be what we want to believe. And I encourage you to be mindful of that and be prayerful on what you take into your heart to believe, because the word says in the end times, people, even the elect, can be deceived. So mindset is huge. It's who we are as we see each other. It's the attitude. It's the actions. It's the words. So our mindset, we're to guard that. That's the first step to guarding your heart, is to guard your mind, what you allow to get into your heart.
Yeah, and there was 3 words that I've been in my head this whole time. Like, I remember. The first one was teachable. Crucial. You have to be teachable. Second one was intentionality. you have to be intentional with growing your mind. Mm-hmm. You have to be intentional with getting out of your old mindsets, because feelings are fickle. You know, like the mindset, what crosses our mind is not always the truth. Right. You know, our mind, we can be deceived easily. And the third one, I was going to say what you said, guarding your mind, because that is so important. You know, what we allow in our minds, whether it's what we watch, you know, what we listen to, a lot of this. It's so incredible. Like, I've never been a science person growing up, but the older I get, the more I realize, like, the more stuff like that interests me, like how the mind's ability to absorb, and the fact that I just read an article the other day that said, research has proven that people with Alzheimer's, you know, the musical aspects of their brain never go away.
Yes, you see that a lot. They can sing. They'll remember the songs, and they'll sing them. They'll snap out of it for a few minutes.
It's just crazy. There's different areas in your brain that it's just, again, it just points back to the amazing creator we have. Mm-hmm. I do have some topics or some sentences we can ponder on real quick, because I always like to challenge people. So I'm going to challenge you. But I'll ask one question at a time. But so I, at the beginning of the year, and I'm going to utterly confess right now, I started a book called High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. So I'm like, this is going to be the best year yet, you know, like, and that was my mindset. I can honestly say I'm always in a growth mindset. Sometimes I feel like I'm too much in a growth mindset, that I'm not able to be in the moment, you know. That's a problem too. With everything, there's a balance. So the thing about it is I started this book, and man, this book wrecked me. Like, the first chapter was all about personal habits, because you can't. And Brendon Burchard, I should preface by saying, Brendon Burchard is one of the world's most renowned life coaches, you know, and these days everybody's a life coach, you know, on social media. It's like anybody can be a professional on social media. All right. Mm-hmm. Brendon Burchard has done his due diligence. He has researched for years and tons, and just studied people and habits, and highly successful people, highly unsuccessful people. But it's like, in this book, High Performance Habits, the first chapter deals all with personal habits, because he knows you can't reach your highest potential in life. You can't be your highest performing self if you don't deal with you personally first, your personal habits. And there's kind of 3 chapters within the personal habits section that he talks about. The first one is seeking clarity. You know, you want to talk about mindset shift, mindset growth, growing yourself, you have to have clarity. What do you want? You know, like, where are you going? Like, what do you want to grow to? So how do we seek clarity? He says, ask questions about yourself, dive into yourself, research, try new things, and careful and intentional thought about yourself. What do you think about that? Seeking clarity. Like, how do you interpret that?
Oh yes. I can see that for sure. The mind can get really chaotic, and just things coming and going. And there has to be a time where you say, mind, be still. And you have to stop. And the clarity is, let's keep the most important thing the most important thing. And that is whatever your goal is that you set, so that things fall around that. Your mind can pull you in directions to where you never get anything done. You just kind of spin in circles. So I also pray for clarity, and I know a lot of times the Lord will have me pray clarity over people. And I think as we're getting more into the end times, there's more and more of that, and I know I say this a lot, but hey, it's the truth, that the enemy coming against the mind. And we've all created for a purpose. And he doesn't want us to be clear on the purpose. He doesn't want us to have the clarity on pursuing that. So anything that we're doing as we're seeking the kingdom of God and his righteousness is what God has planned for us to do. And he's going to show us what it is. But we've got to get still. We got to have clarity from him. And the spirit of peace that dwells inside of us, that's protecting that heart and keeping that peace, so that we can hear Holy Spirit when he's talking, so that we can step into that. So I think clarity is very important, because it's like the difference between shooting with a shotgun. It shoots out all this.
Yeah.
Or just, let's aim for this one bullet.
Mortal Kombat versus the BB. Yeah, it's I love one of the quotes in the chapter. It was from Don Harold, and it said, in talking about the topic of seeking clarity, it said, unhappiness is not knowing what we want and killing ourselves to get it.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was huge. That was a quote, and that wrecked you. Try reading the whole chapter.
Wow, that's a good one to read this book.
Oh, my confession was I haven't finished it this year.
Oh, then I won't get it till you get through.
No, but it was good. So it's yeah.
Yeah, because people are, you can talk to people. People are just very unhappy. A lot of times, I know when I worked in the psych ward, and friends and family and myself, sometimes you have to say, why am I unhappy? And sometimes you really don't have an answer. There comes some more clarity. You know, why am I not happy? What is it that I'm really wanting? Mm-hmm. And you can just get caught up in the free fall and the chaos, the bamming around. But somewhere in there, things have to connect so that you can connect the dots and go straight in line.
Yeah.
But
and that takes intentionality. That takes getting uncomfortable, digging into your. I think a lot of people avoid their mindset. Because they don't like what they're going to find.
Right. Because then you get to the nitty gritty of who you are.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of us don't like who we are or think we don't.
And then then you're challenged to change, or then you're challenged.
I don't want to change.
This is an unraveling of, my life's been a lie. I'm a lie. Like, what is this?
Identity. Who am I?
That's insane. But then during those times of crisis, that's when the Lord gives us peace.
Yes.
Who he says we are, not who we may be at the moment or who we think we are. There's always hope in who he says we are, because God's mind is never changing.
Right.
God's mind is clear. God's mind is stable. He's it's very, very good. Awesome. So I had another one. Do you have anything else to say on that topic?
No. Well, about our value. When you said that, I thought about our value, because I've went through this before of, I'm just, not worth much. But I was worth enough for God to send his son to die, and for Jesus to say, I'll die, and I'll die for her. He died for me. He died for you. So that's the truth. There can be some facts, some things I've done. We've all done things. But the fact is, that's a fact. That did happen. But guess what? It gets covered under the blood of Jesus, because that's what he died for. We don't want to forget what salvation truly, what he did and what it is. But who does God say I am? What does he say I'm worth? And that's where faith comes in. We have to believe that. We can get in our head and talk ourselves out of it. We can come, but this and that. No. That's not what faith is. Faith is what he says. Let him be he's the truth, and let man be a liar. And if he says it didn't happen, it's covered, then for all eternity, for what really counts, it never happened. I have consequences here on earth and responsibilities for things that I have done. But I am of great value, and you are too. We were fearfully and wonderfully made. He knitted us in our mother's womb, and he has things. He has a book with things in life, good things for us to do. He has a destiny. He has a hope and a future for us. And it's to get connected with him and surround ourselves with people that are saying things that we can take that into our mind, and we can change our mindset. We can choose to change our mindset. We can choose to stay in the negative, or we can choose to be more positive. And hey, it really helps when you have friends. They'll say, that didn't sound like Jesus that just came out of your mouth. and it helps. We can laugh about it, but we help one another. So surround yourself with people that are more like you, that think like you, that have that growth
or
mindset.
Where you want to be.
Yeah, even better. If you can find people. Sometimes you'll see people that are where you want to be, and you feel so outclassed by them. How you wouldn't want to be friends with me, because you're just all that in a bag of chips.
That's what you're telling yourself.
That's what there's
your mindset again. Yeah, it's channel that energy for the good. And I don't think there's any better way to wrap up. I don't think, we have a choice in our mindset. Mindset's a tricky thing, and I think it trips up a lot of people in life to where they get caught in this vicious cycle, and a lot of people never get out of it because they never escape their own mindset. They are themselves' worst enemy, and that's sad. It's really sad, because we got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable if we're ever going to grow. So,
and I would like for us, Alto, I think that we're going to do this next, is talk about the millennial and the baby boomer, and mindset is right there. This just kind of slides right in there to that.
It's really good.
But I think that
Little teaser there.
Wonderful little teaser.
So you guys gotta come in for the next episode.
But you will be what you think about. If you think you can't, then you can't. If you think you can, you can.
I feel like that's a quote. You will be what you will be.
I just made that up.
Sheila Ledbetter. That is a quote. Now it is. I feel like it was from Socrates or something. That will be what that will be. Something so simple, but it's like, duh.
Profound.
Yeah.
Hey, you stole my thunder there. I thought I had something.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, yes, I'm.
All right. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, we love our just little table talks and bridging the gap between today. It was mindsets. So we will see you guys later.
Have a good one.
This is a personal podcast. If you enjoyed our talk today, we would love to hear from you and pray you share this with someone who can benefit the most. Any views or opinions represented are individual and belong solely to the participants. The content presented is not to diagnose, cure, or heal any illnesses.